Have you ever wondered why some people seem to stumble upon opportunities while others endlessly chase them without success? Imagine standing in a crowded room, everyone talking, moving, distracted, and suddenly, one person notices a door half open at the back. They slip through, and on the other side lies everything the rest were searching for. The difference wasn't luck, it was awareness. Fortune, as Niccolò Machiavelli wrote centuries ago, doesn't smile equally on all. She reveals herself only to those whose minds are prepared to see her. Yet most of us miss the signals, tangled in routines, consumed by self-doubt, or blinded by the illusions of control. The truth is, the signs of fortune are rarely loud. They whisper. And unless you've trained your perception, you won't hear them. Think about the subtle shifts in your own life. A chance conversation that sparked an idea. An obstacle that forced you into a new direction. A rejection that quietly redirected you towards something better. These are not accidents, they are clues. The question is, did you recognize them? Here's the uncomfortable reality. Fortune does not favor the passive. It favors those who sharpen their consciousness, who cultivate the eyes to see beyond appearances. In a world where most complain about unfairness, those who awaken to hidden patterns quietly align themselves with opportunity. And from the outside, it looks like luck, but it isn't. The philosopher Seneca once said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." What if fortune is not a mysterious goddess at all, but the reflection of your ability to interpret life's signals? What if the difference between stagnation and transformation is not in the events themselves, but in the way you notice and respond to them? So let me ask you, when was the last time you stopped to truly examine the interruptions, disappointments, and surprises in your life? Not as obstacles, but as hidden signs. Could it be that what you've been calling bad luck is, in fact, fortune knocking in disguise? In this video, we will uncover the secret indicators that your consciousness is already aligned with the path of fortune, according to Machiavelli's timeless insights. Stay with me until the end, and you may discover that fortune has been closer than you ever imagined. And before we dive deeper, I invite you to share in the comments if you've ever looked back and realized that what first felt like misfortune was actually a turning point towards something greater. If this resonates, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because what we're about to explore could shift the way you see not only fortune, but your entire path forward. What if everything you've been chasing is already within reach, but hidden under a layer of perception you haven't yet trained yourself to see? Imagine this. You wake up tomorrow morning, and instead of scrolling through your phone or rushing into the day, you notice a small detail you'd usually ignore. A message from someone you haven't spoken to in years. A phrase in a book that feels strangely directed at you. A hesitation before saying yes to a request. Tiny signals, almost invisible. Yet, if you pause, if you allow them to guide you, they could open doors you never realized were there. We are conditioned to imagine fortune as a lottery ticket, something sudden and external that falls from the sky. But Machiavelli challenges us to a deeper imagination. What if fortune is not a gift, but a recognition? What if she is constantly testing your readiness to seize what is already offered? Close your eyes for a moment and picture a different version of yourself, one who is fully awake to life's whispers. Instead of dismissing coincidences, you connect them. Instead of fearing detours, you explore them. Instead of rushing past discomfort, you linger long enough to extract meaning. How different would your journey look if you believed that each interruption might be a secret invitation from fortune herself? Think of your life as a chessboard. Most people only see the obvious moves, reacting to what is right in front of them. But the masters, the ones who appear lucky, are those who perceive the hidden combinations, the subtle vulnerabilities, the future unfolding 3 or 4 moves ahead. The difference is not in the board itself, it's in the eyes that read it. Now ask yourself, if fortune truly favors the prepared mind, then what kind of preparation are you cultivating? Are you training your consciousness to see opportunities in chaos? Or are you numbing yourself with distractions, waiting for something extraordinary to appear fully formed? Here lies the possibility. Fortune may already be weaving its thread through your daily life, but unless you are willing to imagine that, you will continue to miss her. And so the transformation begins with a simple act, daring to see your current reality not as fixed but as pregnant with signals and potential. So tell me, what would change in your choices today if you truly believed that fortune was not a distant hope, but a present companion, waiting for you to notice her? Most of us have been taught to think of fortune as something accidental, a stroke of luck bestowed upon the few. We envy the successful, we attribute their achievements to chance, and we quietly excuse ourselves from responsibility by saying, they were simply in the right place at the right time. But this belief, though comforting, is profoundly misleading. Machiavelli, with his piercing realism, breaks this illusion. For him, fortune is not a random wind that carries people away. It is a force that tests the strength of character. He compared fortune to a river, unpredictable, yes, but not ungovernable. If you build the right channels and fortify your banks, you can direct its flow. Those who fail are not victims of misfortune, but of unreadiness. Here is the disruptive truth. Fortune does not care about fairness. She does not reward those who wait passively for her smile. She rewards those who act, who prepare, who notice the hidden patterns others dismiss. The common mind calls this luck. The awakened mind calls it strategy of awareness. Think about how often you've blamed external forces for your stagnation. The economy, your boss, the unfairness of life. Yet, in blaming, you give away your power. What if the real difference between stagnation and breakthrough lies not in circumstances, but in your readiness to harness them? The paradox is this: fortune looks random only to the unprepared. To the conscious, her patterns are as visible as the stars to a seasoned navigator. Everyone sees the night sky, but only a trained sailor knows how to read it to reach new lands. So ask yourself, how much of your bad luck was actually a failure to interpret the signals in front of you? How many opportunities passed unnoticed because you were too distracted, too rigid, or too afraid to act? This rupture with normality is unsettling because it shifts the responsibility back to you. But it is also liberating. If fortune is not chaos but opportunity disguised, then you are not powerless. You are, in fact, already standing in the very river Machiavelli described. The question is whether you've built the inner channels to direct its flow, or whether you're still waiting for the flood to choose you. What if the very moments you've labeled as obstacles were fortune's hidden invitations, testing whether you are ready to step into her current? To deepen this path, we must return to the sharp eyes of Niccolo Machiavelli himself. Often misunderstood as merely a cold strategist of power, he was in truth a relentless observer of human nature and its entanglement with fortune. In The Prince, he describes fortune as a woman who yields not to the timid, but to the bold, those who dare to seize the moment with courage and readiness. His words may sound harsh to modern ears, but their wisdom cuts through centuries of illusions. Fortune favors the strong spirit, not the passive dreamer. This insight, however, is not limited to Machiavelli. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote in his Meditations that obstacles are not interruptions of fortune, but its very instruments. The world itself, he believed, conspires to shape us through resistance. Even the Christian tradition echoes this. The Book of Proverbs declares that wisdom cries out in the streets, available for anyone willing to listen. The message across traditions is the same. Fortune is not a rare gift, but a voice constantly speaking to those who train themselves to hear. What makes Machiavelli unique is his blunt refusal to romanticize. He strips away the comforting veil that fortune is gentle or fair. To him, she is volatile, like nature itself. And only those who respect her unpredictability by building strength, vision, and adaptability will thrive. In this way, he pulls us into responsibility. We cannot blame fortune for our failure if we never prepared our soil for her rain. Think about this in your own life. How often have you expected outcomes without planting the right seeds? How often have you waited for the right time, only to see someone else act boldly and reap what you hesitated to sow? This is not mere coincidence. It is Machiavelli's principle in action. So here's the validation we must face. If even the greatest thinkers and leaders across history, from emperors to philosophers, have testified that fortune responds to preparation, then the path is clear. The question is not whether fortune exists, but whether you have sharpened yourself enough to meet her when she arrives. Consider this. If you accept Machiavelli's challenge, then every missed chance becomes a mirror, reflecting not a cruel fate, but your own lack of readiness. And every future encounter with fortune becomes not a gamble, but a test of your inner strength. So ask yourself honestly, are you living as someone waiting to be chosen by fortune, or as someone already preparing to claim her when she appears? There are forces in your daily life that you rarely notice, yet they quietly dictate your outcomes. These are not mystical or supernatural. They are the invisible patterns of behavior, thought, and attention that determine whether you will align with fortune or let her pass you by. Most people live unaware of these dynamics, trapped in routines that blind them to opportunity. But those who learn to recognize them begin to see what others cannot. One of these hidden patterns is distraction. Every time you drown in noise, endless scrolling, compulsive checking, or worrying about appearances, you are dulling the very senses that detect fortune's signals. Fortune does not scream, she whispers. If your mind is cluttered, you will never hear her. Another invisible pattern is resistance to discomfort. Many people recoil when life interrupts their plans. They interpret rejection, delays, or sudden changes as unfair setbacks. Yet Machiavelli reminds us, fortune often disguises herself as difficulty. If you flee from the discomfort, you flee from her invitation. The problem is not the obstacle, it is your inability to see its hidden purpose. A third dynamic is the illusion of control. We like to believe that if we plan carefully enough, nothing unpredictable will happen. But this is where Machiavelli's realism is crucial. Fortune is like the river he described. She will flood, she will break barriers, she will disrupt. The wise do not waste energy pretending they can prevent it. They adapt, build channels, and redirect the force. Those who cling to certainty drown. Those who cultivate flexibility discover opportunities in the chaos. Think for a moment. How many times have you dismissed something small because it didn't fit your plan? How often have you ignored a gut feeling, a strange coincidence, or an unexpected detour? These overlooked details are not random. They are part of the hidden fabric fortune weaves into your life. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Ignoring these patterns doesn't make them vanish. It only ensures you remain blind while others advance. Recognizing them, on the other hand, places you among the few who can transform ordinary moments into decisive breakthroughs. So pause and reflect. In your own life, what invisible patterns are quietly guiding your path, toward stagnation or toward fortune? And more importantly, are you willing to train yourself to finally see them for what they are? Sometimes, a single phrase has the power to pierce through confusion and reframe an entire life. These are not empty slogans, but sharp truths that carry weight because they touch reality. As we explore Machiavelli's view of fortune, certain statements stand out as anchors, phrases to carry with you, to recall when you are tempted to slip back into passivity. Here are a few that strike with precision. Fortune favors the prepared mind. It is not chance that elevates people, but readiness. What you call misfortune is often fortune in disguise. Pain, rejection, and failure are not curses. They are coded invitations. The unprepared see chaos. The prepared see opportunity. The difference is not in the event, but in perception. Fortune is not gentle. She rewards the bold. Waiting timidly for her to smile is the surest way to remain unseen. Your patterns predict your fortune. What you repeatedly do in silence shapes the opportunities that appear. Let these phrases cut into your memory. They are not motivational fluff. They are reminders of Machiavelli's raw clarity. He did not dress truth in soft language. He forced his readers to see that fortune is not about deserving. It is about perceiving, preparing, and daring. Think about the times when you wanted life to be easier, when you hoped fortune would simply arrive without demand. Contrast that with the times you stepped into discomfort, took a risk, or read a hidden signal others ignored. Which moments carried you forward? Which left you stuck? These sentences should function like inner alarms. The next time you catch yourself saying, "I'm unlucky," recall, what you call misfortune may be fortune in disguise. When you hesitate out of fear, remember, fortune is not gentle. She rewards the bold. The brilliance of such key statements is that they bypass excuses. They strike directly at the habits of the mind. And when repeated, they begin to carve new channels of thought. The very channels Machiavelli would say prepare you to direct the river of fortune. So let me ask you, which of these truths feels most uncomfortable for you right now? That discomfort is your clue. It may be the very place fortune has been waiting for you to notice her presence. Here lies one of the most fascinating tensions in Machiavelli's vision of fortune. On one hand, he insists that fortune is unpredictable, like a raging river that can overflow and destroy everything in its path. On the other, he argues that the wise can prepare, channel, and even tame her force. This duality, control and surrender, is at the very heart of understanding fortune. The common mind prefers absolutes. Some believe everything is determined, so preparation is pointless. Others believe they control everything, so misfortune feels like betrayal. Both positions miss the paradox. Fortune is neither fully controllable nor fully chaotic. She is a dance between what life offers and how you respond. Think of a sailor at sea. He cannot command the winds, but he can set his sails. He cannot prevent storms, but he can learn to navigate them. Fortune provides the conditions. Character provides the response. Together, they shape the outcome. Those who demand certainty are destroyed by the first storm. Those who learn flexibility turn even harsh winds into allies. This is where Machiavelli's realism becomes liberating. He tells us, stop waiting for life to be fair. Stop wishing for a world without risk. Fortune is not a promise of safety. She is an invitation to courage. By preparing your mind and shaping your habits, you tilt the balance in your favor. Yet you must also surrender to her unpredictability, knowing that not all variables belong to you. The paradox is sharp. To align with fortune, you must hold two truths at once. You must act boldly as if your preparation makes all the difference. And you must remain humble, knowing that fortune still retains her mystery. Too much control and you become rigid. Too much surrender and you drift without direction. The art lies in the balance. So reflect on this. In your own life, where have you demanded control and grown frustrated when fortune shifted the course? And where have you surrendered too easily, blaming fate instead of preparing yourself? Somewhere between these extremes lies the secret Machiavelli pointed toward. The paradoxical wisdom that makes fortune not a cruel mistress, but a powerful ally. What would change if you embraced both sides of this paradox, acting with full responsibility, yet walking with the humility that fortune is never fully yours to command? Why should we care about aligning ourselves with fortune? Why endure discomfort, sharpen awareness, and prepare ourselves for signals that most people ignore? The answer is simple yet profound. Fortune offers rewards that go far beyond material gain. At first glance, we might imagine fortune only in terms of wealth, status, or external success. But if we look closer, her greatest gift is not what she gives, but what she awakens within us. Machiavelli reminds us that fortune favors the bold, but boldness itself is already a reward. It transforms timidity into strength, hesitation into action. To live with the consciousness that fortune is near is to live with courage. Think of the inner peace that comes from knowing you are not drifting aimlessly, but responding to life with clarity. Imagine the confidence of walking into uncertainty, not with fear, but with the conviction that even chaos can be turned into opportunity. That is fortune's hidden treasure. She trains your mind to see meaning where others see randomness. And yes, there are practical rewards too. By recognizing fortune's signals, you place yourself where others hesitate to go. You spot the conversation that leads to collaboration, the setback that sparks reinvention, the detour that reveals a better path. To outsiders, it looks like coincidence. To you, it feels like destiny unfolding through your conscious response. But let's be clear, the reward of fortune is not comfort. She does not pamper, she challenges. Her true gift is growth, the expansion of your capacity to interpret, adapt, and act. And in this growth lies a deeper form of wealth, the kind of character that cannot be stolen, the kind of wisdom that no storm can wash away. So let me ask you, what do you secretly hope fortune will give you? And beneath that desire, what deeper transformation might she already be offering? Perhaps what you long for is not merely success, but the strength and clarity that come from becoming the kind of person who can meet fortune face to face without fear. This is the paradoxical promise. If you prepare for fortune, she may grant you external rewards, but her truest gift will always be internal, shaping you into someone capable of turning even loss into gain. And that is a reward no misfortune can ever take away. To hold all these insights together, we need a deeper framework, a structure of thought that explains why fortune behaves as she does, and why some people seem to meet her while others endlessly miss her. Here, philosophy and psychology converge. Machiavelli offers the metaphor of the river. Fortune is powerful, unpredictable, even destructive, but not beyond preparation. This metaphor aligns closely with what modern psychology calls locus of control. Some people live with an external locus. They believe life simply happens to them, that events are random and beyond influence. Others cultivate an internal locus. They believe their choices, preparation, and interpretation shape outcomes. Fortune in this light is not merely external. She is a mirror reflecting the structure of your mind. If your consciousness is trained to see only obstacles, fortune will appear hostile. If your consciousness is trained to see patterns, even the same events become opportunities. The river is the same, but the builder of channels and dams creates a different destiny. This framework also echoes Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus insisted that we cannot control events, only our responses. Fortune, then, is not about the absence of difficulty, but about the transformation of difficulty into a pathway. Machiavelli sharpens this into practical realism. Prepare, act boldly, and do not wait for ideal conditions, because fortune never arrives dressed as certainty. Another layer comes from literature. Shakespeare, writing about fortune, often depicted her as a wheel, constantly turning, lifting some and casting others down. The wise did not try to stop the wheel, but learned how to stand firm while it turned. The connection here is clear. Fortune is cyclical, and readiness is not a one-time event, but a lifelong discipline. So, the conceptual framework is this. Fortune is both external force and internal readiness. She is unpredictable, but her unpredictability tests the quality of your preparation. She rewards boldness not because she prefers some individuals over others, but because only boldness has the eyes to see her signals. Reflect for a moment. If fortune is a mirror of your inner readiness, then every missed chance is not just about timing. It is feedback about your consciousness. And every victory is not merely about luck. It is evidence of the character you have built. The question that remains is this: are you structuring your inner world in a way that can receive fortune when she comes knocking? Or are you still hoping she will choose you despite your unpreparedness? So here we arrive, at the end of this journey, but perhaps also at the beginning of yours. We have seen that fortune is not a random visitor who blesses some and ignores others. She is a test, a mirror, a river, a wheel. She whispers through obstacles, disguises herself in setbacks, and reveals herself only to those who sharpen their minds and act with courage. Machiavelli's voice, still echoing through centuries, calls us to abandon illusions. Fortune will not wait for you to feel ready. She rewards those who dare to seize her, even when the conditions are uncertain. If you are waiting for the perfect time, you will wait forever. The paradox is clear. Fortune appears not to the dreamer who waits, but to the one who steps forward despite the storm. Now let me turn this to you. Think back to your own life. Moments that felt like misfortune, only later revealed as turning points. Times when a rejection saved you, when a closed door redirected you, when chaos became the very soil in which something greater took root. These are not accidents. They are fortune's secret handwriting across your story. The reward of seeing fortune is not just success, but transformation. You begin to live awake, alert, ready. You stop blaming circumstances and start shaping them. You stop fearing uncertainty and start dancing with it. And in that shift, you discover that fortune has been less about external gifts and more about the internal strength she forges in you. So here is my invitation. From now on, do not dismiss the whispers. Do not rush past the interruptions. Do not waste another day waiting for certainty. Train your consciousness to see what others ignore, and you may realize that fortune has been closer than you thought, perhaps even waiting at your very doorstep. If this message spoke to you, I want to hear your voice. Share in the comments below. What is one moment in your life that at first felt like misfortune, but turned out to be fortune's hidden gift? Let's build a community where we help each other see what is often overlooked. And if you found value here, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Because this channel is not about easy promises, it is about awakening your mind to truths that can change the way you see your own life. And who knows, fortune herself may already be watching to see how you respond.